Morning number 1842, Morsels of a Thought. I am here to bring you what I hope is morsels of a thought of wisdom so that we learn the right things to do. Knowing the right things to do is wisdom, and doing it all is virtue. So, morsels at a time, morsels of a thought, we bring virtue into the world. I am bringing you synopses of other people's life experiences, and today I am also concentrating on the brain as with Friday. We are reading Cavin Ballister's book, How to Feed a Brain, Nutrition for Optimal Brain Function and Repair, and he's got forewords by Dr. Datis Karazian, who has a lot of degrees behind his name. I think he's got like 6 degrees. Let me take a look. Yes, he's got 6 degrees behind his name. And Dr. David Perlmutter, MD, FACN, author of New York Times #1 bestsellers, Grain Brain and The Grain Brain Whole Life Plan. He says of Calvin Ballister, his ideas are absolutely in line with current neuroscience and have the added validation of personal experience. So this gentleman want to optimize your brain function? After sustaining a severe traumatic brain injury that left him comatose with less than 10% chance of regaining consciousness beyond a vegetative state, Cavin has devoted years to researching and connecting with doctors, nutritionists, researchers, professors, practitioners, neuroscientists, and more. How to Feed a Brain is the culmination of the nutritional tools that he had learned through his journey. He has learned through his journey. Jessica Flanagan, clinical nutritionist, author of the Loving Diet, says, as the field of brain nutrition grows, this book will be a treasured resource for many. For practitioners like me, this book provides a crystal clear nutrition roadmap for my clients. How to Feed a Brain teaches you about specific brain supporting nutrients, how these nutrients affect us, and what we can eat to support our brain function. Calvin also gives you real life stories of how he used nutrition in his own brain recovery. The book includes downloads to printable charts, lists, and user friendly handouts to take to the grocery store or put on the fridge so that readers can easily apply what they learn to optimally feed their brains. Special sections provide instructions for supplementation and tube feeding. This book's relevant. He talked about that. This book's relevance goes far beyond brain injury or disease. It is written for anyone seeking to improve their brain. Ready to get started? How to Feed a Brain will give you the nutritional tools to optimize your brain function. Let's do this. Our brain is our garden. The roots are nurtured by the food we eat. That's on feedabrain.com. So I bought this book. Um, Da, 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 da. I wanted to read to you from chapter 1. I wanted to read actually the preface and chapter 1 right here. About me, my name is Calvin, and this is an etching of a photo. It's an etching of a photo of him in his comatose state. And my name is Cavin Balaster. In 2011, I fell 20 feet from a rooftop water tower scaffolding. My head struck a steel beam on the way down before crashing onto the concrete rooftop below. I was immediately rushed to the hospital and put on life support. While in a coma, an MRI revealed a severe diffuse axonal injury, DAI, which is one of the most devastating types of brain injury. Statistically, over 90% of patients with this injury never regain consciousness, and most of those who do will often remain in a persistent vegetative state. I am very fortunate to be alive. In the first few months following my accident, I endured two comas that lasted several weeks, one from the initial fall and one induced. I woke in a severe brain fog with significant memory loss, coordination issues with the left side of my body, and was unable to eat, walk, or talk for months. I was breathing through a tube in my neck, receiving processed liquid hospital formula through a tube in my belly, and my left hand was completely flexed inward. Prior to this event, I was a 27-year-old musician and entrepreneur making music and sharing it with the world. Whatever plans I had made for my life at that point came to a screeching halt when I found myself quite literally tied down to a hospital bed with no real guarantee that I would ever get up. I was a child once again, a 27-year-old child, completely dependent upon those around me. Following the acute stages of my brain injury, I found myself in the most difficult of circumstances I could have imagined. My goals became a lot more simplistic. I was no longer asking myself when my next gig would be, but instead was asking myself when I could take a bite of real food again, when I could go outside, or when my inward flexed hand would return to a position where it could grip the neck of my guitar again. I needed to regain everyday faculties if I were to aim higher. If I were ever to aim higher, and this realization stung. The life I had known was over, and I had a long road ahead of me if I were to ever feel alive again. Once my condition was stabilized, navigating the physical and emotional toll of my new circumstances was only a small part of what I would need to do to recover my brain function. There were times when I felt helpless and stuck, but I learned to use my frustration to motivate me to regain autonomy. Despite the damage to my brain, I was able to recognize that wallowing in my misfortune would not bring me any closer to recovery. The injury I had sustained was like had sustained was like someone had hit the reset button on my cognitive and physical abilities. Yet I was in a position where I could still observe myself learning and redeveloping. I would need to teach myself how to walk, talk, eat, balance, and handle a ball, or any object for that matter. I would also need to relearn how to think. I would need to relearn the actual process of learning so that I could teach my brain and body how to do all of the things that I had lost the ability to do. And I had lost so many of my abilities. I did not know if I'd ever recover enough to lead a quote, normal life, end quote, but I vowed that if I did get better, I would work to share the most effective tools that I found throughout my own recovery. The book you are holding is in line with that vow, and you can find more on social media, guest appearances, the Adventures in Brain Injury podcast, and on feedabrain.com. Why is this book about nutrition? In the wake of my brain injury, I was lucky enough to be introduced to a particular eating and supplement regimen. So soon after implementing this nutritional practice, I began to regain clarity. I did not realize it at the time, but I had been in a fog since my injury. We are currently reading Cavin Balaster's book, How to Feed a Brain, Nutrition for Optimal Brain Function and Repair. And okay, hold on. In the wake of my brain injury, I was lucky enough to be introduced to a particular eating and supplement regimen. Soon after implementing this nutritional practice, I began to regain clarity. I did not realize that at the time, but I had been in a fog since my injury. I had been in such a dense fog that I was not even aware I was in a fog. How can one tell that it is raining when underwater? I utilized my newfound clarity and found myself researching metabolism, neurometabolism, mechanisms of neuroplasticity, nutritions, no, excuse me, nutrients for synaptogenesis, and anything else I could do to optimize my recovery. I was soon contacting practitioners of many different specialties across the globe so that I could better understand everything I could about the plastic nature of the brain or its ability to change and repair itself. I was studying life. I was studying like my life depended on it because it did. If I were to come back from this, I knew I needed to understand how I could give my brain the best shot to recover, and there was clearly something to nutrition. I was committed to understanding how to feed my brain for optimal function and repair. Where am I now? Today, 6 years after my injury, I write this with great appreciation, gratitude, and purpose as I have recovered beyond all expectations. I now drive, ride motorcycles, camp, play guitar, sing, swim, and practice martial arts. I even do backflips off of diving boards. With their expertise playing a monumental role in my recovery, I am now working with doctors, nutritionists, chiropractors, neurologists, professors, dietitians, nurses, and therapists, some of whom are also successful survivors, putting together resources that help guide others. My primary goal for sharing the information I've learned throughout my experience and work within many different medical communities, while beneficial for anyone, is helping survivors and their loved ones as they navigate the turbulent waters of recovery. In the past few years, I have been invited to attend several medical conferences, the first of which being the International Conference on Human Nutrition and Functional Medicine, where I gave an impromptu speech to a room filled with hundreds of health practitioners and medical students. Subsequently, I have found myself on stage as the keynote speaker for several nationally recognized organizations, such as the Neuro-Optometric Rehabilitation Association and the Brain Injury Alliance of New Jersey. I have presented to hundreds of health practitioners as a guest speaker. I have so much appreciation for the remarkable opportunities I have had and continue to have working with brilliant and talented individuals within health and medicine. Through my work with Andrea Nakayama's practitioner training, Holistic Nutrition Lab, HNL, I have had the opportunity to learn from cutting edge MDs, DOs, neuropaths, and functional medicine practitioners daily. Andrea is a world renowned functional nutritionist and health educator whose company provides what James Maskell, Maskell, of Functional Forums, FF, has called, quote, the only scalable functional medicine training that exists, end quote. You can learn more about Holistic Nutrition Lab and their practitioner training at feedabrain.com/HNL, Holistic Nutrition Lab. Through the years, which I have dedicated to the it was feedabrain.com/HNL. Through the years, which I have dedicated to the optimization of my brain function, and through the connections that I have established with amazing practitioners, I have put forth careful consideration of these topics. What you hold in your hands is the culmination, integration, and application of the nutritional building blocks that I have found to be most useful toward neurological health. I have also put much attention into streamlining and distilling these concepts so that more people can understand, and I am so honored to bring this book to you. Let's begin. Chapter 1, about this guide. I wrote this book as a guide for those who are looking for brain support, whether for themselves, for their clients, or for their loved one. It may be due to a concussion, a more severe brain injury, a neurodegenerative process, or simply an interest in improving brain function. This book outlines what I learned from years of researching, corresponding, connecting, consulting, and working with many specialists within the medical community, functional practitioners, nutritionists, health educators, and other brain injury survivors. The most influential contributors with whom I consulted include Laura Schoenfield, MPHRD, Ancestralize Me, a registered dietitian with a master's in public health nutrition, MPH, and who has a strong background in functional medicine. Jeremy Lampel, MSRD-CDE, a registered dietitian and certified diabetes educator with a master's degree in nutritional science. Catherine Hayes, Kathryn Hayes, CCC hyphen SLP, CCC-SLP, my speech language pathologist with over 30 years of experience with TBI patients ranging from comatose to more than 20 years post-injury. TBI stands for traumatic brain injury. Katie Haldeman, RN, the paleo nurse, Katy Haldeman, Haldiman, RN, the paleo nurse, a registered nurse and certified nutritional therapist with over 10 years of clinical experience. Dr. Alex Vasquez, DCND, DOFACN, an international lecturer and author of more than 120 professional scientific articles and 20 books, including the 2-volume Textbook of Clinical Nutrition and Functional Medicine, and Dr. Terry Walls, MD, a medical doctor who has overcome multiple sclerosis with diet and lifestyle. My hopes are to translate their expertise and to guide you as you learn how to feed your brain. This book is not a promotion of the newest fad diet, nor was it written by a corporation capitalizing on unsubstantiated claims of brain enhancement. I am dedicated to bringing valuable information to those who want to improve their brain health and performance. Who is this book for? Whether you are looking for a more successful recovery from injury, stroke, disease, pain relief, mood stability, or even a slimmer waistline, amazing things have been reported while practicing these principles. Focusing on a foundation of healthy digestion and nutrition, anyone interested in protecting or optimizing brain function can benefit greatly from implementing the practices in this book. Not a day goes by that I don't hear about the significant, positive, and life-changing effects of conscious eating and healthy digestion. The right kind of nutrition really is one of the most important keys to sustainable health and function, be it headache and migraine relief, reduced dependence upon medications, mood stability, improved sleep, stroke recovery, brain disease, or other neurological conditions. In this guide, you'll learn about how food played a large role in my recovery from a near fatal brain injury. You will hear the story of how Dr. Terry Walls, WAHLS, a medical doctor diagnosed with progressive multiple sclerosis, used diet and lifestyle to thrive and overcome her reliance on a tilt recline wheelchair. I am also going to tell you about how my friend and fellow co host of the Adventures in Brain Injury podcast, Michelle Malmberg, Malmberg, was given only a 1% chance of survival after a grand mal seizure left her with a Glasgow coma score GCS of only 3. If a rock had a heartbeat, it would have a GCS of 3. Today, Michelle is alive, raising her child, enjoying her life, and even dancing again. She attributes much of her survival and recovered abilities to the power of the right nutrition. You can learn more about Michelle and the Adventures in Brain Injury podcast on iTunes or at adventuresinbraininjury.com/podcasts. In 2015, the U.S. National Institute of Mental Health, NIMH, estimated that 17.9% of American adults suffer from a diagnosable mental disorder in any given year. Footnote 1. We all want to protect our brains the best we can, and as you will see, many of the dietary practices outlined in this guide have been shown to prevent, reduce, and even reverse some of these disorders. Using this guide, while this information is valuable to anyone looking to improve their overall health and brain function, it may be most beneficial when used in a collaborative fashion with a partner, caretaker, therapist, nutritionist, health practitioner, or physician. You will learn which whole foods and supplements act as building blocks for the brain. With recipes and guidelines of how to make many different dishes using specific kinds of ingredients, you will learn how to make delicious smoothies, salads, soups, purees, and other dishes that will supply the brain with the nutrition it craves. You will also learn supplementation options and supplementation information, as well as solutions for nutritional enhancement, dietary restrictions, or possible food intolerances. For patients who are not able to eat conventionally, and are receiving nutrition through a gastric tube, this book also explains how to supply better feeds and advises you on how to work with your healthcare team in order to obtain nutritional support. Optimally feeding the brain may require significant changes to diet and lifestyle, and in a hospital setting may require confrontation, requests, and finesse. After the initial After the initial dietary changes, you will see that optimally feeding the brain is a casual and enjoyable lifestyle. This book is not about being dogmatic forever. This is about learning how your unique this book is not about being dogmatic forever. This is about learning how your unique physiology reacts to the foods you eat and how those reactions affect your brain. With the powerful information you will derive, you will then have the freedom to make choices for better brain health. After all, after all, the healthiest thing we can do for our brains is to enjoy our life and to do so sustainably. This book will give you the nutritional tools to do so. Although this guide outlines practices that are very doable, they may be met with resistance. To effectively implement these guidelines, organization and effort are needed. To make things easier, we are also working to arrange for the availability of pre-made feeder brain approved meals that can be delivered to your door and then simply heated before eating. Go to feedabrain.com /pre-made for more information. Pre-made is spelled as one word. Supplementing this meal plan. What are supplements? Let's think about the word supplement. The capsules, liquids, and powders that are often referred to as supplements are just that, nutrients to supplement or to make up for a lack of nutrients that we obtain in the food we eat. Unless we are able to execute every aspect of this meal plan perfectly, we are likely going to be missing out on important nutrients that are tricky for us to obtain in our everyday diet. Unless, of course, we supplement strategically. Some nutrients are realistic for us to obtain from food in adequate amounts. However, others do not come so easy. Supplementation information. Throughout this book, you will find boxes like this to give supplementation options. To make things more organized for you, we have gathered and organized lists of suggested supplements at feedabrain.com /supplements. Gastric feed information. If you or a loved one are unable to eat conventionally, there will be boxes like this throughout the book to explain what can be done when feeding via gastric feeds. If you are in need of this information but do not have time to read through the entire book immediately, please be sure to read chapter 13, Gastric Feeding Guidelines, near the end of the book. My experience has shown me how food can be extremely medicinal, so we are working with companies developing free-to-brain approved meal replacement drinks and gastric feeds, which you can find at feedabrain.com /feeds. Additionally, high dose omega 3s have been shown to be an extremely brain supportive addition after brain injury, but only when the oils are high quality and non-oxidized. For more information and some Feed a Brain approved brain supportive oils, go to feedabrain.com /omega. So we come straight to our time. How to feed a brain. Nutrition for optimal brain function and repair. Okay, old kindergarten.